Once again, welcome back. We're here with Dr. Erik Meidl from Hannibal Clinic answering your questions. Here's another one coming in from Sarah Joy Walker through our Facebook page. Why are the guidelines so strict for testing when not every person has been diagnosed, is suffering from some or all of the symptoms?
Sure. I mean, that's a very true statement. That's a good question we get all the time. It'd be nice if we had enough testing equipment to test everybody, but the CDC has set guidelines so that we make sure we test those that are most vulnerable,
right,
those who are more likely to have a complication, and also those who might spread the disease to others, such as nursing home residents, long-term care, other places like that, first responders, healthcare workers. So those are prioritized, those who might have a complication, the elderly, the people with other coexisting diseases, pulmonary diseases, heart diseases. So we do try to focus on that. But if you are younger, don't have those other problems, but you have signs of a significant disease which can occur, then hopefully we don't miss those. So if you do have shortness of breath, chest pain with the fevers, that will qualify you to be tested.
All right, very good. Another question in from Wes Mitchell through our email page. He wants to know, I take an inhaled steroid, Advair, for mild to moderate asthma. Does that also suppress my immune system, making me more susceptible? I realize asthma makes me more vulnerable to begin with.
Sure, that's true. Asthma does make you more vulnerable to the complications of COVID-19. There's very little systemic immunosuppression with an inhaled steroid in normal doses that are used. We see that more with systemic steroids, either given intravenously or orally. And you definitely don't want your asthma to be flaring as you're going through a virus season. There are a lot of other viruses besides COVID-19. We don't typically treat people who have COVID-19 with steroids because it has been shown to prolong the course of illness some. But an exception for that would be people with uncontrolled asthma or COPD that we actually do need to use some steroids just to keep them going when they have the illness. So I wouldn't recommend stopping the inhaled steroid at this time. If you end up having disease, let your physician work through how your lungs are doing and decide what should be done at that time.
Yeah, be smart on that, no doubt about it. Ryan Howersperger through our Facebook page sends in this question, does having a flu shot help in any way against COVID-19?
No, it doesn't really. They're separate viruses, but it's still a very good idea to get your flu shot because it kills thousands of people every year, and that's always a very good idea to have it done.
All right, Jane Rollison emailed in another question for us. If you live alone and are working from home and staying home 98% of the time, how important is disinfecting all the surfaces in your home? Do you need to take different measures than people with a family living at home? What precautions should you be taking right now?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. If you're never leaving the house, you don't need to disinfect as closely. But when you do go out to the grocery store, to the gas station, then make sure when you come in that you wash your hands, that you disinfect the doorknobs and surfaces where you put packages on. But you don't have to be as strict and frequent in your cleanings as if you have young kids coming in and out or other people coming in and out.
Question, can we talk about social distancing enough? How important is that?
Well, it's super important. Yeah, it's the best thing we can do to mitigate this virus at this time, since we have no effective treatment that's been proven at this point. So prevention is really the key. And there's been a lot of modeling done that if you are very aggressive on social distancing, avoiding crowds, of course not getting out when you're sick, that can greatly diminish this epidemic.
6 feet's the rule.
Yes, it is.
Always. All right, Fran Brown from our Facebook page. How would you know if you have already had it and can't get it now, at least for a period of time?
Yeah, right now it's very interesting because the new antibody tests have been approved by the FDA. So eventually those are going to be in distribution where we'll be able to tell if somebody had contracted the virus, had been exposed to the virus, mounted an antibody response, and we'll be able to tell in retrospect that they had it or not. It won't tell you acutely if you're having it right now until it's at least a couple weeks into the virus or maybe a little bit less. So it'll be less important for diagnosing an acute case, but very helpful in epidemiological studies or seeing if somebody had it in the past.
All right, another question in from Darwin Smith, sent in by our email page. In another question here, since the flu seems to affect older people much more than younger, is it possible that the virus attacks the telomeres on chromosomes to determine which is thought to contribute in the aging process? Interesting scientific type question there.
Yeah, there's no evidence of that right now. Of course, we're learning lots of things. Right now, we know that the virus gets into mostly the epithelial cells of the alveoli in the lungs.
Right.
And once it enters, it hijacks the cellular processes. The telomeres are on DNA. This is an RNA virus. It doesn't need to insert itself into the DNA. It has it's able to hijack the normal cells' proteins to reproduce itself.
All right, very good. That's all of our time we have right now for this broadcast. Our conversation will continue until 7 p.m. on News Talk 105 WGEM and our WGEM FM mobile app. Don't forget about that. Keep your questions coming into us at news@WGEM.com. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Tony Cornish Jr. We'll see you later this evening on WGEM News at 10. Stay safe.